So about 9 months ago, I decided to consolidate all my old small worked pensions into a single SIPP. And one of the main drivers for that for me was the costs I could see that I was incurring on from the different pension providers. And that was really eating away at my pensions. I mean, there were some other drivers as well about having more control and having them all in a single place and kind of things. But today I wanted to have a quick chat about how the charges differ if you move into a SIPP compared to letting a company, such as the People's Pension or Aviva or one of them companies from looking after your pension for you. Now, obviously, this is not for everyone. If you just want someone else to take the pain away and manage it for you, then it's a good idea actually to have that kind of an arrangement where you've got someone else managing it for you. But if you'd like to have a bit more control and more control of the costs specifically, then it may be worth having to think about whether a SIPP is appropriate for either all or some of your old pensions and bringing them all together. So I'll tell you what, let's have a quick look on the Free Trade app, which is what I use for managing my pensions. Let me switch across to this. So this is one of my investments. It's the FTSE All World Tracker. Let's scroll down to the part of Free Trade where it tells you about costs. So here we are. The FTSE All World has an annual charge of 0.15%. Let me switch across to a calculator here on the phone. So I transferred £128,000 across from small pensions into my SIPP. Let's see what that costs in the all trades. It's £192, but I also have a free trade charge of £119 a year. So that gives me a total of £311 charges for holding my investments in the FTSE All World. So it'd be useful to actually go and compare that now with, say, for example, the People's Pension, which is one of the old providers. So if I say 128,000 and the People's Pension have a 0.5%, that gives actually £640. That's more than double. That's more than double the charges for holding your pension in a typical pension provider, such as the People's Pension. Now, this may be a little unfair because I did select a really cheap fund there. I could have selected a managed fund inside Free Trade. So let's pick a different fund. Here we go. Income Growth Fund. Let's see what the charges are for this Income Growth Fund. This is a managed investment trust inside Free Trade, and I'm guessing the cost, even though the performance on this over the last 12 months was fairly poor, I'm guessing the charges are going to be significantly higher here because this is actually a managed fund. So let's have a look at the costs and charges. Here we go. So 0.77%. Wow, that is really high. So there's also a 0.5% in the first year stamp duty for actually just purchasing that investment. So that is significant. So let me switch across the calculator again and let's have a look at what that would cost us in real life. So 0.77%, if we just take that bit times my 128,985, there we go. So that is a massive amount compared to trading in funds such as the FTSE All World. So the FTSE All World is what we call a passive fund, which means it doesn't have a manager actually managing the investments. It just tracks an index. So a quick search on Google here shows the difference between a passive and a managed fund. So I only buy passive funds for the same reason that I move my SIPP. Really, I don't want a manager to manage my funds, because when you look at the statistics, generally managed funds, 90% of them perform worse than passive funds. So for me, it's a no-brainer to always choose a passive fund just to get your costs down. So if you've heard my outro, then thanks for listening. And if you haven't, then here's probably the most important bit of investing advice you'll hear on YouTube. Don't buy or sell shares in a company based on what someone on YouTube tells you. The big Wall Street analysts have large teams of professionals with access to vast amounts of data on every single listed firm. There are no YouTube gurus who know better than them. Use YouTube to find interesting bits of information on companies that you may otherwise miss. And when you find something interesting, do your own digging and see what the analysts in the big firms are saying. Never invest more than you can afford to lose, and don't expect to get rich quick. If you are interested in my background, I come from 16 years in risk management with PwC and Deloitte. I've never been on a trading floor in my life, but if I had, it wouldn't give me the edge on the big firms because they have big teams and masses of information. So don't look for a guru with an edge. Look for information on companies you're interested in. And if you're looking to invest a large amount of money, don't put it on individual stocks. Choose an index fund. The All World Index is a representation of all the stocks in the world. And if one company goes broke, then the index won't even move. Whereas if you've only invested in that one company, then you may have just lost your pension. Keep it fun, keep it affordable, and subscribe to keep getting my updates. Thanks.